Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir Al-Azouzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today we will give you an update of the EUDAMED database. So the EUDAMED database is the European Medical Device Database, and we have mainly some updates that happened, or mainly we try to give you some updates. And for that, I have with me the guru of EUDAMED, which is Richard Houlihan from eudamed.com. So Richard, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Munir, always a pleasure talking with you.
Great. I mean, it's been a long time that we didn't have an episode together because I suppose there was not a lot of changes, but now we start to hear a lot of changes, and I wanted to also give some updates to the people. But before that, can you just make a small introduction of yourself?
My background is actually IT. It's not medical devices. I'm over 28 years in IT. When I started out, I had a full head of hair. Now I did 12 years with EUDAMED. I started with the European Commission in 2011 working on EUDAMED, and I left them in 2019 before going into our own thing with UDAMED.com and the submission software and the training and basically anything to do with EUDAMED. And we've actually expanded now to bring in the GUDID, and we're going to go with the TGA from Australia and Swissmedic with their SwissDamed when that's ready to rock and roll. Great name, great name. So yeah, anything to do with EUDAMED, the submission software, we can help from big companies to small companies.
Great. Yeah, and as I said, we have made already a lot of videos also explaining what is EUDAMED and how it's working since a long time. But now, just to give a feedback to the people mainly about EUDAMED again. So what is EUDAMED and what is available actually within EUDAMED? Because EUDAMED is not completely finalized or finished now.
Yeah.
So mainly, what is it and why we need that, and mainly what is available actually on the database there?
Okay. As you said in your introduction, it's the European Medical Device Database. It has actually, there are previous incarnations that are only available to the European Commission and the competent authorities. They're still called EUDAMED, but they're hidden away. Nobody else can see them. Initially, it was just a way to track the medical devices, see what's available on the market, see who's supplying into Europe, etc. It was then extended to take in some of the serious incidents, but only for the competent authorities. But because of some issues over the years, in particular the likes of the PIP case with the industrial silicone, there was nowhere to look. There was nowhere to find out. There was nowhere to figure out what was wrong. Where were these bad things coming from? So the new legislation, the MDR and the IVDR, was worked on. My first introduction for following legislation through came in 2012 when I started doing the working groups with the Commission and then following all the legislation through. But EUDAMED is the core of all the legislation. It's the piece right slap bang in the middle. If you want to comply with MDR and IVDR, you have to put your data in EUDAMED. Now, the level of data that's going in there, for those that are familiar with the GUDID system, there's like 64 data points, not all of them mandatory. EUDAMED has over 104. And of that 104, there are many where you can have multiple entries. So some people have described the GUDID where you can put everything on one line of a spreadsheet. On the spreadsheet templates that we produced for EUDAMED, there's 20 tabs. It's like a relational database purely because you've got so many places you can put multiples of data. For the manufacturers, once the transition periods are done, once EUDAMED is fully functional, if they want to sell their products in Europe, they have to be in EUDAMED.
Yeah.
If they're not in EUDAMED, you cannot legally sell your products. It's very, very simple.
Exactly.
And yes, some of the other jurisdictions, then your Singapore's and some other countries, they're looking at EUDAMED as the starting point. They want to see your CE mark. They want to see your data in EUDAMED, which incidentally is one of the issues that's now appearing to do with their MDR extension.
Okay.
Because companies are saying, yeah, we have the extension. Look, we have this document from the competent authority or the notified body, but your certificate's out of date. And they're going, but how is this possible? So then these other jurisdictions are then contacting the notified bodies and the competent authorities and going, well, is this correct? Is it really the way it's supposed to be? And one of the things that we requested that they add to EUDAMED was some way to add your legacy device and just connect the document. So it's all there in your face. But the Commission said they'll take all these things on board after 2027, which is kind of interesting.
Exactly. But, and so EUDAMED is not mandatory for the moment. So it's also why you have some kind of differences or discrepancies between on the database. I always compare EUDAMED with what the US are doing with the database also in the US for products. So in the US, you can see the manufacturer, you can see the products, you can see everything. So you know if this product is really approved in the US, and I suppose other jurisdictions are doing the same to verify that the product is approved in the US. They go to the database, which is public also, and they can go and check everything. So now, actually, I have a lot of people that are asking me, "Oh, how can I know if this product is really CE marked?" I say, for the moment, you cannot, but in future, you will be able to do that with EUDAMED when it will be fully authorized and mandatory for everybody. Then everybody will have to register their products inside. So there is no possibility for you to not know if this product is CE marked or not, because from class 1 to class 3, every product should be also registered on the database.
We have actually had some importers in Europe already refusing to bring in American products because they were not an EUDAMED. We had one panicked company phone us one night, "Can you get us in there really quickly?" They had 1,000 IVDRs. And once we got them in there, then the importer said he was going to bring them in. And again, you can understand it, because the importers, there's a lot of legal obligations on these guys now. There's a lot of liability there if it gets wrong. So for the companies, they should be looking at doing it now. They should be getting the data in there now.
Exactly. And actually, so as of today, was there any bugs, any issues, or anything that were happening within the database, or everything works well now, and we have always those developers or people that are working on the background that are really solving all the issues that they are discovering?
The last problems we had were sorted in February.
Okay.
Since February, we have had no uploads, XML uploads being blocked because of bugs in EUDAMED. So as far as I'm concerned, hand on heart, I think that the EUDAMED device module is perfect at the moment. It mightn't look so pretty for some people. Some people still complain about it because the amount of data that's required. But the actual module itself is taking in the data and it's displaying it on the other end publicly. It's working perfectly. I see absolutely no reason why people aren't putting their data in there now.
Hey, just a second. Do you need a EU, Swiss or UK representative? Then choose Easy Medical Device. We can represent you and also become your importer. Contact us at eo@easymedicaldevice.com.
When we talk now about EUDAMED, we talk a lot about mandatory, not mandatory. We talk a lot, as you said, also some importers ask you to be on EUDAMED while it's not mandatory to be on EUDAMED for the moment. We have some people that ask you for the SRN number, while SRN number is provided only when you are registered on EUDAMED, which is not mandatory. So is it still not mandatory, or is it really mandatory now to register on EUDAMED?
It was supposed to be mandatory, I believe, about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
To register your company. However, because EUDAMED is so far away from being fully functional, and it in itself is not mandatory, it's not currently mandatory, but, there's a big but, it takes very little time to register for your SRN. If you want to pay someone to do it for you, hey, we offer the service. But
I help companies about that. And yeah, it takes 20 minutes. As long as you are ready, you have the documents that are signed and ready to be uploaded. 20 minutes, it's done, it's finished. So we are helping because as we are also authorized representative, so our customers are calling us and say, "Oh, can you help me for the register on EUDAMED?" Say, "Yeah, let's jump on a call." And 20 minutes after, it's done. So it's not like we are taking a lot of time.
No, it doesn't. And companies have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, when someone says you need to go get your DUNS number, people just go get it. there's no difference in getting your SRN number. It just maybe a document that needs to be signed, and you need to know your exact address on the documents and stuff like that. But there's absolutely no reason not to get it. Without it, you cannot register a device.
Yeah.
Without it, you don't exist.
But we have also the other, the second part. So when we are registering on the EUDAMED database, we have then first they are sending an email to us as authorized representative if they are located outside of Europe. Then they say, is it really your customer, or are you really authorized representative to them? Then we go to our account in EUDAMED and say yes, and then they send that to the member states, so Belgium or French authority or whatever, and then the authorities have to review and approve and give you the SRN number. So the problem is that we have a lot of customers that contact us and say, Munir, it's been 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and we still have nothing. Is there an issue? We go to the website and we see, no, there is, I mean, it's still under review by the authorities. So is there a solution here, or is there a situation here?
Yes, 100%. There are some countries that have decided, or some competent authorities that have decided they are not approving anything until close to when EUDAMED is fully functional.
Okay.
And it's very irritating, both for you as the authorized rep, for the client, for importers, etc., and the manufacturers. It is so irritating. We have one applicant in Poland for, it must be 6 months now for an importer, whereas before I actually registered manufacturers in Poland. No, there was a delay, but nothing like now. I've contacted them because there's no point emailing the European Commission when your registration is held up.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with them. Legally, they cannot do anything for you. But yet everybody keeps trying to email the Commission going, oh, we can't get this. This morning we had emails from some companies in Romania. Same thing, they can't get anything through. And this is 100% down to the competent authority. It is nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the European Commission. So you need to chase your own competent authority.
Exactly. And actually, as we talked about mandatory, not mandatory, so do we have a timeline now when EUDAMED will be, because actually we have 3 modules. There are 3 additional that should be released. When will the EUDAMED will be completely available, and when it will be then mandatory to use EUDAMED for your registration of company, of products, etc. So is there an official timeline now that is issued? Because I think the last one was in February or March, and there was no change, and it's not visible anymore. I tried to go to my link that I was using before, and it's error 44. So like it has never existed. What you are looking for? Say what? But yeah. So is there now an official timeline?
Okay, things have got complicated again.
Okay.
Again, so the timeline that everybody has would have had EUDAMED fully functional in Q4 2024.
Okay.
Okay, now that was after the minimum viable product has been created, after the development has stopped, after the audit, the mandatory audit, after that was completed. And one last thing, the official journal. You have to put the notice in the official journal, then 6 months after that, then it's mandatory. So everybody was kind of happy with that. Like yourself, I keep an eye on some of these publications, and the timelines disappeared.
Okay.
But then there was an EUDAMED working group in June, and the Commission have just in the last week or so released the minutes from that. And the Commission never take responsibility for a delay.
Okay.
Okay, it's never their fault.
Okay.
It was COVID, it was changing directorates, it's never their fault. So what they said was that they have to move the audit. They're going to move it forward 3 months. And then they think the audit is going to take an extra 3 months, making it 9 months.
Okay.
So if we go from there, what that means is the audit will finish in Q4 2024.
Okay.
Then the official journal publication is made. Then you wait 6 months.
So 2025 then.
It looks like either Q2 or potentially Q3 2025 for it to be fully functional.
Okay.
Now, for manufacturers, do not take this as an excuse to go, hey, we don't need to touch anything. We can all relax now. Do not, and I know I've been, do you know what? I've been saying this since 2019. And now we've got thousands and thousands of devices in for our clients.
Yeah.
They're done. They're finished. But there's a whole load of companies who've done nothing.
Yeah.
They haven't collated the data. They're considering doing their basic UDI and udi-di groups, considering it, but they still haven't done it. And then after they do that, they have to get all the data together. When they get all the data together, then they have to see, does it pass the EUDAMED rules? And if all of that is good, then they create the XML files. Now, to create the XML files and do that validation, they also have a lot of choices. Are they going to do it themselves? Are they going to create their own IT project? If they do, they are absolutely 100% off their trolleys, because for €500,000, you will get a very, very basic system. And then you will have to keep that team together for years. Every time there's an update to EUDAMED, you're going to have to update. So this $500,000 is going to cost over 20 years. If they outsource, it doesn't have to be to me. It can be to some other companies. But if they outsource, they will be able to use their products for 10, 20 years for less than it will cost them to create the system.
Exactly. And mainly, if a company has maybe 1 or 2 products, I suppose there is no need to go through that route. But if you start to have like 100, 200, 300, 400, 1,000 products, then I suppose that route is the best, because you will verify everything. And if I remember once you said, if there is one mistake on it, the EUDAMED will be refusing all the file.
Yeah. Now, our smallest client has 7 UDIs.
Okay.
7 UDIs.
Yeah.
And I said to the guy, I said, look, there's no point in coming to us. You can type these in. He says, I don't want to type them in. And I said, well, if you come to us, we'll give you a spreadsheet template. You're still going to have to put the data in there. He said, that's fine. And I said, I'm going to charge you for doing this. I said, honestly, 7 UDIs, you can just go straight to EUDAMED. He said, no, I don't want to touch anything regulatory that I don't have to.
No, I agree. And I said, as soon as you have somebody that knows better than you and that can help you and that can sort your thing, because as we said, it's hero registration on a database. You have to have the correct information, correct data. You have to be on the safe side, because you are selling products. So at the end, I agree that sometimes use professionals to do that.
One additional thing, warning, whatever way you want to put it. When EUDAMED was first conceived, or not first conceived, but when we were working on it, and on the initial information from the Commission, all the markets were not mandatory.
Yeah.
Initially, you just had to put in your first market, and you were done. They've changed it quietly.
Okay.
If you look at the latest user manuals, they've slipped in that for Class 1 and Class A, all you have to do is your very first market. For all the other classes, they want to know all the markets you're in and all the markets you're planning to be in.
Exactly.
And that is mandatory.
I saw that also, because when I was visiting the EUDAMED database, I opened randomly, because for my courses, I show people EUDAMED. I go to inside and I show exactly what's inside. And I was surprised to see that some companies have placed all the countries where they are selling the device, and say, why are they doing that? And now I understand that apparently it's mandatory.
But it was this was never communicated. This was just slipped in there. One other point on legacy devices. Initially, most of our companies were saying, no, we're not putting in the legacy devices. We don't have to. We're going to go to MDR, etc. But since the MDR extension turned up, they have all started rethinking, because they're going to extend the certificates, the availability of their devices, which then puts them at a risk of a vigilance issue.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
life. But if EUDAMED is mandatory and their products are still for sale and they have a vigilance issue, then that data has to be in EUDAMED.
Exactly.
So we now have a lot of companies putting in their legacy device data because of this one reason.
Exactly. And I saw that also. I saw that when you are visiting, I would really encourage people to go to visit. You can go on the show notes and you have the EUDAMED page and you can go there and visit. You will see that, yeah, some products that are registered are still under MDD. They're not under MDR. It's mentioned there. So yeah, you have legacy devices inside. It's not mandatory, but it's better to have them, because if you have any issue on the market, if you read correctly the Article 120 of the EU MDR, post-marketing surveillance, vigilance, registration of economic operators is an obligation per the Article 120. So then mainly, if you have vigilance reporting, then you have to use, because when you have a vigilance reporting, you have to fill a document which asks you for the udi-di and udi-pi, etc. of the products. And if you don't have, because you are still under MDD, then you have to use the EUDAMED ID and EUDAMED DI that is created by EUDAMED then there. So yeah, there are a lot of subtlety, but I really encourage you to be on EUDAMED, so that yeah, everything is on the safe side when you will have a vigilance reporting.
Yeah.
We have also some playground that is existing for EUDAMED. So what is this playground and how can we use that?
Okay, the playground is the Commission's test area. That's the easiest way of putting it. Anybody can register. Same as you could register for production, you can register for the playground. It's the exact same process. You still have to register your company. If you're an authorized rep, you still have to get them to tick the box. The competent authority still has to approve your registration, etc. But once all that's done, you can play with EUDAMED. Now, you may wonder, why would anybody want to play with EUDAMED? There's several good reasons. First of all, your XML files, upload them to the playground first. If you've got loads of mistakes in there, nobody sees it.
Exactly.
Nobody sees it. It's only you. The competent authority will not come to you because you did something horribly wrong inside your XML on the playground. It's only your data. You don't get any emails from the playground. Even when you get approved for your SRN, you don't get any emails from it. There's nothing that comes out of this. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, anytime there's updates to EUDAMED, or anytime there's new modules coming in EUDAMED, they're on the playground first, and they're on the playground for 6 months before they go to production. You can go onto the playground now and look at vigilance. In a few months' time, you're going to see the first parts of clinical investigations, or clinical investigations and performance studies, that module. But everything is going to be available on the playground first. If there's some things on the playground that you think are completely wrong and they go completely against the regulations, etc., this is where you refer to. You write to the Commission, you say, this is wrong, this is missing, this is the way it should be. If you're right, this is where they update it. But if you wait until it goes to production, it's too late to complain. In the minutes from the Commission, they talk about the competent authorities testing. They're not testing it enough.
Okay.
The notified bodies with the certificates, they're not testing it enough. But when they go to use it on production, they're going, oh, no, this is wrong. We need to change this. And the Commission, they're very clear in the minutes, and you're going to put the link to the minutes there.
I'll put on the show notes, yeah.
Yeah, they're very clear that people have to test it. When I was with the Commission, when we first started testing the actor module, when we went to the working groups, then we were expecting loads of feedback, etc. Most of them hadn't touched it. And it's like when people complain about governments, if you didn't vote, you don't have a say.
Exactly.
If you voted, you can say. So people need to test it. And again, the playground is open to all the companies. You can test everything. You can, if you decide that you're going to create your own training course for your internal people, again, why reinvent the wheel? But if you decide you want to do it, this is how you do it.
Exactly. No, I think it's a good point here, and I think we have now more clarification on mainly the fact that if it's mandatory or not, or if we should register our company and products in the UDAMED database. And from your side, you talked to us about some elements like spreadsheet, like training, like service that you can do. So why people then should contact you exactly?
If you look at the EUDAMED documentation, and there's loads of it.
Yeah,
there
I saw a
really
lot
is
of user manuals and yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at the technical documentation then, and you try to read it, the best thing that you can get out of that documentation is a cure for insomnia.
Exactly.
It is awful. However, it was never written for regulatory affairs people. It was written for IT people. But most of the company's IT people, they don't code these kind of things. They don't write these kind of things. So there's really a bit of a disconnect there. So I accidentally started running training courses. I'm not a trainer, never was a trainer. I've told you the story many times. We ended up running training courses, and we've trained over 1,000 people at this stage. And some of the people that came along, they concentrated on doing all the documents. We had one particular guy who was absolutely brilliant. He had studied for 6 weeks, and he still came with 18 crucial questions. And when I answered the questions, he said he tore the documentation apart and he could not find those answers. So while the documentation is built for IT people, there's a lot of presumptions in there that obviously you're going to know this bit. Obviously you can do this. So first of all, there's the training. They don't have to sit through one of our courses. We also have the self-paced where they can watch the videos, pause, replay, etc. They're always up to date. Always up to date.
I really advise here, because I think you have run those trainings since a long time now. So you received a lot of maybe feedback, experience, etc. So then you know already what kind of question they will ask you. You know already all the answers, and you know maybe how they should address something that, as you said, is not written on their user manual, which is great. So I really recommend you to participate to one of those trainings.
So on top of that, then we've all the submission software. If you want to get your data into EUDAMED, we can supply the consultants to put the data together for you. We can run the project for you. If you don't want us to do that bit and you just want the software, we have the software. If you don't want any of that, we also just have the templates, so you know what data to collate, to put the data together. At this stage, I'm surprised I'm still talking about EUDAMED, because I left the commission in 2019. We've been doing our own stuff since then, obviously. But I would have expected it all to have been live by now. But there's still so many people who haven't touched it, and they're in for a horrible shock when they do, because it really is it's a monster. But it's also a very ambitious project.
Yeah, true.
It's the second biggest system that the commission have ever made. That's huge. Now, it's very expensive and they're very slow with it, but leaving that aside, it's still a very ambitious project because it puts all the systems together.
Yeah. And I think that, yeah, for the people that are not maybe hearing about UDAMED and this and that, maybe they hear about it, but they know that there is an extension, they know that they have still sometimes, etc. So I know those people, because usually when the day before, when something will be in place or it's mandatory, they say, oh, can you help me now? Can you help us to do this and that? But this is the point, is that people are always waiting the last moment. But I really recommend you, it's easy, do it now. You will not struggle, because as we say also, the SRN number, you can maybe take some time to reserve it. So don't struggle yourself and ask for it now. You will maybe reserve it in 6 months, but it's fine, because it's still not mandatory for the moment. And when you reserve it, then you will use that. Or your data, place them now, because maybe at a certain point, there will be a lot of people that will be coming to place their data, and then everything will bug. So, but you are safe, because your data were always there before, etc., etc. So be proactive, if I can say on that.
It can take months to put this data together. So even while you're waiting for your SRN, you can be getting your EUDAMED data together. But if they wait, this is also budget season now. So they're getting their budgets for next year. If they missed this year for the budget and then they decide, oh, we'll get it in 25, then you have a very small window.
Yeah.
And you could miss it, because it can take months to get all this stuff together. So yeah, please don't save yourself pain.
I suppose people also can contact you just for a small consulting to, on their situation,
of course.
and then they can see what you propose and what is done. So anyway, your details will be on the show notes, the page and everything, and all the emails, not the emails, the links that we talked about today are on the show notes. But mainly, yeah, I really recommend you to go and check EUDAMED.com with Richard Houlihan and check what is mentioned there. And yeah, I suppose, Richard, you are now making a tour of many conferences and try to explain about EUDAMED.
Yes, most definitely. It takes up most of the day now trying to do all these conferences. But again, all the same questions still getting asked by people at the different ones. When should we start? What should we do first? All they got to do first is start.
Yeah, exactly.
Get moving on it.
Richard, it was really a pleasure. Thanks for all the information and this update, because as I said, it's been a long time that we didn't have any update on EUDAMED. Now we have this one, and I hope that we'll get more information next year about this MVP and all the timeline, and if there's an official timeline that is out again. Yeah. And I hope, that people will contact you also if they have any question or anything about EUDAMED, because for me, you are the guru of EUDAMED. So each time I say to people, go to Richard Houlihan or get the training of Richard Houlihan, because mainly this is the person that is most knowledgeable about EUDAMED. So Richard, thank you very much, and I wish you a nice day.
Moner, thank you very much.
Great.